All right, welcome to the first episode of Serious Comedians.
Oh.
Usually when I'm listening to podcasts, I really, really dislike intros to the episodes.
Yeah.
But since this is the first episode of this podcast, I'm going to give a little bit of an intro. The point of this podcast is that I'm a comedian and an amateur comedian, and I have some comedian friends. And every time we hang out, there's a lot of banter. It's really fun and all these things. But I always feel like I wish I could get to know them better. And so I didn't want to be like a normal person and just ask them to hang out. I want the attention, so I decided I needed cameras and microphones to do that. And so in this podcast, I'm going to be sitting down and talking to some of my comedian friends. And the point of the podcast is not to be funny. The point is not to not be funny, but the point is not to be funny. There's a lot of podcasts with comedians where obviously they're trying to make people laugh. That's not the point with this one. If you're looking for something funny, I suggest you go check out his podcast, if you understand Icelandic. What's the name of the podcast?
It's called Láttekisona. You can also check out my comedy special, Big Small Town Kid.
Yes.
So this is the intro done? Like, can I?
No, not really.
Okay, continue. I don't want to interrupt.
A little bit rude, but okay.
It's Big Small Town Kid.
What was the thing? Oh, yeah. So the point is not to be funny. If we make you laugh or smile, it's purely accidental. That's not the point. For my first episode here, I have gotten Arnór Daði. He is a really, really funny Icelandic comedian. Oh yeah, for the international listener, by the way, this is recorded in Reykjavik, Iceland, in the city. What's it called? The library.
The City of Smiles. Oh yeah, the library. The
or the City of Smiles.
Yeah, Reykjavik, the City of Smiles.
Yeah. Some people say that's like the Las Vegas of the North.
Yeah.
But unlike Las Vegas, the motto is what stays in Reykjavik happens in Reykjavik.
Exactly right. You broke your first rule, like, what is this, 3 minutes into the podcast? You're doing bits.
I can't help myself. Sorry, that's not the point.
You're not supposed to be funny, dude. On this podcast?
Okay.
This is also going to be like laughing in church. Like, you're not allowed to be funny. This is going to make it worse.
I guess this is a little bit like church because I'm going to be trying to get some confessions.
Yeah.
From you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I'll confess to it.
You confess?
Yeah, to anything.
It's going to be a short episode then.
All right, arrest me right now. Wait, no comedy. Continue with the intro, I'm sorry.
Yeah, serious interview. This is an interview podcast. Arnór Daði is a great Icelandic comedian for our international listener. I'm saying international listener because I think my mother might listen sometime.
Yeah.
And she doesn't understand Icelandic. Arnór Daði, you have a special out, is that right?
Yes, Big Small Town Kid.
Where would I be able to listen to that?
If you're Icelandic, it's on Sjónvarp Símans and Vodafone. It's also online on standuprecords.com. Mm-hmm. You can rent it for like a few dollars or buy it for like a few dollars more. You can also listen to it on Spotify, Apple.
I heard of those.
Tidal, everywhere, Amazon. Radio. It was actually played on the radio in the States. It was a lady who played it on the radio and she liked it, I think. I don't know. I didn't listen to the radio in America, so I don't know.
No? It's not really why you go to America.
To listen to the radio?
Don't think so. Not today. Maybe in the 60s.
Yeah. People used to go all the time in the 60s. That we used to take steamboats to America to listen to the radio. It's not.
We're getting off track here.
No, this is not. This is not funny. This is just history.
Yeah, it's a historical fact.
Yeah, this is his story.
Okay, and okay, and I always like it in podcasts when the host is really accommodating, and then maybe have a drink, or Joe Rogan famously offers people cigars and joints. I'm not going to do that in the library, in the city center library. But
do you have drinks?
Would you like something?
Yeah,
to drink?
I would love a drink. I love David because he just breaks his own rules immediately. Like, we're not gonna have drinks. Do you have drinks? Do you want a drink? Yeah, I have a drink.
There you go.
Thank you, sir. There's no sign or anything that drinks aren't allowed. So
no, this is allowed here.
It's legal.
They have a sign where they encourage you to have drinks.
Yeah.
So would you like some?
Oh, so, dude, you came prepared.
Would you like some Coke or some milk? Or both?
I'll take a Coke. I'm lactose.
Yeah. Help yourself.
This is such a scam, dude.
What?
You said this is not gonna be a funny podcast, and you brought Coke Zero. For those who are listening, you brought a 2-liter bottle of Coca-Cola Zero and 1 liter of milk,
Vitamin D.
Yeah, vitamin D in it.
Yeah, and
added vitamin D and a
sugar-free soda.
Sugar-free
This
soda.
is a healthy podcast I'm running here.
Yeah, milk isn't actually that healthy.
I'm not serving whiskey and cigars like some podcast hosts.
They say that milk actually makes your bones worse. Like they.
Who says that?
I don't know.
People who hate milk?
Yeah, a documentary I watched was it's called something Forks. Milk gives you heart attacks. I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'm not vegan, but it makes sense that human beings shouldn't drink what
milk.
What baby cows are supposed to drink.
Who drinks Coke though? I don't think
Human
any
beings.
babies.
That's true. That's true. Wait, what the fuck are you doing?
What?
No. What is going on, dude? This is not a thing.
What? You never seen?
Dude, I got bamboozled. This is a comedy podcast now.
You've been with me to the Faroes.
Yeah. Nobody does this there.
Okay, so context. I brought Arnór with me to do some shows in the Faroe Islands, where I'm from. And
people there are normal. That they don't mix milk with Coke. Are you out of your mind?
This is Kilk.
Kilk. What?
This is everybody in the Faroes. I'm surprised you. I thought we already got over this.
Chug it right now. Take 3
I like to savor it.
Take 3 big sips. That's disgusting.
Bro.
Dude, what the fuck is
It's like our national drink.
It's not.
It
I've been
is.
to the Faroes.
It is.
I loved the Faroes. Everybody there was super normal, and it makes sense that you live in Iceland now. You get kicked out. Like this guy, this guy puts milk in his Coke.
How long
or
were we
Coke
there?
in his milk.
We were in the Faroes from Wednesday till Monday.
Yeah.
So a few days.
Yeah.
And
In May.
You never. I'm surprised we didn't talk to you about this. This is like.
This is not a thing.
This is a thing.
This is not
This is a thing.
If this is a thing, you know how much I love the Faroe Islands.
Yeah,
It impressed me a lot.
Yeah.
I did not know
Did I
about
ruin that now, or
a little bit? This is not.
I should have. This podcast
are you
just got
fucking with
a little
me,
bit
then?
awkward because
It's not awkward. It's just mind-boggling.
I'm just
right now.
feeling like my culture's being a little bit disrespected right now.
I don't know if this is true, dude.
Anyway,
Fuck.
anyway, do you want to try?
Thanks for the Coke, though.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's like slightly sweet milk with some hint of Coke.
Yeah, bad. This is bad, dude.
All right. Well, I thought this podcast would be going better, to be honest. Usually we have good rapport.
It's the first episode, dude.
When we're hanging out, at least.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, no, it's just kind of, you said there would be no comedy, and then you bring milk and Coke into the conversation. And glasses. You were walking around with a bag.
Yeah.
Of two glasses. A liter of milk.
I'm telling you,
Coca-Cola.
I like taking care of my guests.
Yeah,
you're so nice. And by the way, I want to say thank you for saying yes to being,
of course,
my person.
And it's funny that you mentioned that you have to have a podcast to have a conversation with comedians, because I was thinking about it yesterday. Mm-hmm. Me and Hugh Coverdale Jones recorded his podcast, one of his episodes, and halfway through, or 40 minutes into it, we realized that he hadn't hit record, but we had just been talking and laughing. It was a great conversation, and we both got kind of bummed out. We were like, "Oh man, shit, this sucks."
Yeah,
we just had a good conversation as friends. Nobody will be
probably.
Yeah, and nobody will be able to listen to it. Isn't that a shame?
It's every comedian's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
To have a good conversation and nobody
there to
listen to it.
Yeah. I wish the 15 people who would have listened to it were in the room at least. No, it was just the two of us. I always bring, it's a thing that I do now when I do Hugh's podcast, I always bring I bring chocolate or some kind of English crackers. I never thought about milk and Coke before, but that is my next gift to him.
I think now I have to offer this to every guest here.
Oh, 100%.
Because
this is the thing.
I need
now.
to prove to you that this is a thing. This is not a one-off.
You can Google it right now.
Google it. Kilk.
Oh, your phone is...
All you listeners at home, you need to go home. You need to go to the store, and if you don't have Coke, or if you don't have milk, you need to buy it. Give this a go. It actually is pretty good.
Faroese Kilk.
A funny thing about the Faroe Islands is it's so small that there's the language is not even on Google Translate.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of cultural things that you're not necessarily going to find.
Wait. Yeah, this is not a thing.
Well,
I wrote into Google Faroese Kilk, and Google went Faroese killing whales. Faroese kill dolphins. Faroese.
Those are lies. The Kilk is the real thing.
No, I've seen the videos. You guys kill them on the beach.
No, that's a lie. That's a fake news.
Killed dolphins, killed entire pod of 1,428 dolphins.
Fake news.
Why do Faroese kill whales? Faroe killing dolphins. Faroe killing dolphin whales. Faroes killing whales. Why do Faroes kill dolphins? Yeah. This is
that is
like there's nothing about the Kilk. It's just about the kilking of the dolphins and whales. I'm sorry, this is not a comedy podcast, but this is too funny. Not even trying to be funny about this is funny. This is you're a ridiculous kind of person. Aren't you a psychologist? You're supposed to be show up to your job and help people out, and then you come to your comedy job and you fuck with my brain? What the hell is wrong with you?
I don't know what to say. This is maybe the most psychologist thing I've ever said, but I'm sorry you feel like that. For the record, I've never killed any whales or dolphins or anything, any.
I believe that
sentient thing.
I believe you haven't killed dolphins yet.
No. And for the record, for any international listener, I want everybody to know that people ask me a lot if we kill whales for fun or what it's for. No, we don't kill them for fun. It's for revenge.
Yeah. Tell them about why you're revenging.
Well, I think it's been going on for so long that we just forgot.
Yeah.
I think it started as revenge. But We've gotten way off track. I wanted to get to know you.
I don't know what is on track with you. Is there a track even?
Yes, there's
because
a track.
I'm looking around.
I've been trying to.
We're in a Faroese desert right now.
I've been meaning
drinking
to
Kilk.
Get us on the track.
Okay. Tell me about this track, huh? I'm having a good time, by the way. This is awesome.
This is good. Okay, so the track, like I said, is I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to interview you just to get to know you.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
But there are some things we maybe should get out of the way first. The whale killing and the Kilk and stuff like that. And I'm glad we addressed those things, so that we can.
Me too.
Move on to talking more about you.
We have to get the Kilk out of the way so we can talk.
And can you tell everybody a little bit about yourself? Where are you from, and how did you get into comedy? Just give us a quick intro.
I'm from Hauganes, which is a town up north, a town of 150 people. So I grew up there. It's, I think, like 30 kilometers north of Akureyri. And grew up in a small town, went to Akureyri to go to framhaldsskóli, which is kind of like high school, college kind of thing. And in 2012, when I was 18, school didn't go very well for me. So I didn't know what to do in life. And then I saw Louis C.K. I downloaded his special. It was like one of many comedy specials online that you can steal. So I watched it, and just like how I've always been a comedy fan since I was a little kid, but just seeing him just talk and be hilarious. Like I've never seen, I'd seen stand-up comedians before, but that was always like, hey, I'm here to do jokes. He was the first guy I ever saw who was just talking.
Yeah.
And you don't
set a punchline.
Yeah, like when you see Louis C.K., like he's a master at this. When you just seem like he's not doing bits; he's just talking about his life. And there's like his laugh per minute is through the roof. Like he's so good at it. But the thing about a guy like Louis C.K., he makes stand-up comedy look super easy. Like, oh, it's just you can just talk. I can do this. Yeah. So I watched him. I was like, oh, I kind of related to him. Kind of big red-haired guy. And I was like, yeah, this guy's the shit. So that kind of planted the seed of like, maybe I should do comedy. I mean, I've been funny around my friends. I love comedy, but I had no idea how to get into it. But I just wanted to be like, if Louis C. can do it, maybe I can do it too. Which is a ridiculous thing to say right now, because after I started doing comedy,
you can do it, anybody can do it.
Yeah, you just have a glass of Kilk and you go up on stage. This guy's kilking right now.
Thank God he's not kilking whales, though.
Exactly.
But
thank God we don't do it here in Iceland, where everything is super peaceful.
You killed them all, so there's none left.
Yeah.
But so you grew up in a really small place.
Yeah.
How many people lived in Hauganes?
150.
150 people.
Yeah.
And how old were you when you moved away from there?
Well, like my mom actually just moved from Hauganes, but I was 15, 16 when I moved to Akureyri to like what do you call it? Like a student, whatever. Like everybody has a room. What is it called?
Student housing?
Yeah, student housing. I moved there. My dad also lived in Akureyri, so I was kind of just moving around. But I would say I was around 15 when I moved from Hauganes. But then my mom lived in Hauganes for a while, so I was always there, back and forth. What was I talking about?
It's a good age to move away from Hauganes, I suppose.
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
Are you getting bored?
Not really.
No?
Like, yeah, you can find stuff to do. Like your friends, I had friends who were older and younger, and my older friends got like driver's licenses, and you can like drive around and just do anything. Dalvik is right next to it. Like there wasn't a lot to do. Like, looking back, the things we were doing weren't necessarily a lot of fun, but they were fun for us.
Okay.
We had a boat. We went sailing. We shot guns. Like, I don't... It got... Like, we had stuff to do. Just whales.
Was this the confession?
Yeah, this was the confession. You got it out of me, dude.
I should be a police officer.
No, you just shoot, like, bottles on fences and stuff.
Okay.
It's crazy to think back on it now, because, like, I haven't thought about this for a while, but yeah, we used to shoot stuff with guns. Like, that's crazy. We used to walk around into the valley.
Well, I've never talked about this.
No, I haven't thought about it since then. Like, this was just kind of normal. Like, we knew it was bad and we shouldn't be stealing guns and shooting them.
All our American listeners going like,
yeah, that's childhood.
That's what we do.
Yeah. But, yeah, so there was always something to do and shoot. Mm-hmm. But then I moved to Akureyri. There was kind of like when, like, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to go into, I did go into Culinary School, where there was like a part of framhaldsskóli where like you learned to cook and be a waiter and a baker. And then there was another thing that was like a butcher. Mm-hmm. So I tried the chef thing. I was going to be a chef. And then I tried working at a restaurant, and I was like, this is not my thing. So then I thought, like, maybe just being a butcher. And that was just like I don't want to do it. It's not great, but it's something to do. I mean, I can't be a comedian. I wanna be a comedian, but I cannot. Like, I don't even know how to do it. So I'll just go into butchering. So I worked at a slaughterhouse, and that's when I started like listening to podcasts, and got more into Louis C.K. and other comedians, Joe Rogan. I listened to Joe Rogan like a lot. Every comedian he had on, I would listen. Like Dave Attell, and that's how I got to know like a bunch of different comedians.
So you just got more and more obsessed with comedy.
Yeah, and just the obsession was always there, but I was more learn it in a way after just listening to comedians talk about it a bunch. And that's when I sat down and I thought about like how will I become a comedian. I didn't know. But in 2013, they started the comedy scene here in Reykjavik with like the open mics and stuff. And I saw that on Facebook, and I followed it, and I was kind of like looking at pictures and what they wrote about the night, and it's like looked really fun. Like I saw Greipur and Bilga Babylons and like all these guys.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be a part of that scene.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, for the life of me, tell like my parents and friends that I want to move to Reykjavik to become a comedian. Like that's an insane thing to do. Because I'm already working as a butcher. What are you doing? Why go to Reykjavik to be unemployed and look like a loser? So I thought, like, what is the second thing I want to do with my life? And that, like, I love films, and I kind of thought, like, what if I go to film school and just become a filmmaker if the comedy thing doesn't work out? So plan A was comedian, plan B was to be a filmmaker. Which is also not very lucrative to be a filmmaker, but you can get a job at filmmaking.
So a risky business, one could say.
Yeah, this is not a comedy podcast. Don't pull this shit on my show. Joking around.
Okay, and do you remember the first time you heard of the Secret Cellar, or the went to the Secret Cellar, the comedy club that we used to have here in Reykjavik?
Yeah, I mean, I was already in comedy when the cellar opened.
Okay,
but when I moved here in 2016 to go to film school, aka to become a comedian, there were 2 comedy nights. There was the open mic that Rökkvi Vésteins used to have. That was like an Icelandic open mic at Bar 11. And I remember when I moved here, was to drive around town and drive past Bar 11 and just look at it like, oh, man, this is the place that I'm going to do comedy for the first time. It took months for me to get the courage to go up on stage. But after I moved here, I went to almost just every single comedy night just to watch. Mm-hmm. And there was the night at Bar 11, and then Gísli Jóhann had Come Talk Funny at Gaukurinn. That was the first and only English language comedy mic in Iceland, which is a brilliant move by him. Because before Gísli Jóhann started that night, every comedy night was in Icelandic. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, English-speaking comedians could do, of course, but the shows were marketed for Icelanders.
So they could have guests doing in English, but there's
like Jonathan Duffy came in and did, like, I mean, you just have an open mic marketed for Icelanders. Everybody speaks English, so it doesn't really matter what the comedian is talking about.
And then gradually there's been more and more tourists here in Reykjavik, and also immigrants. So there's a very large part of the city that doesn't understand Icelandic. So if you want to do shows that most people can come and listen to,
that's the way to do it, especially in downtown Reykjavik. Mm-hmm. So Gísli Jóhann was the first one who did that, and that like just immediately got successful, and. So those 2 nights were the thing. I did my first open mic on the 16th of June, 2017. Mm-hmm. That was at Bar 11. I signed up. I sent Rökkvi a message like, hey, I want to do this. And I was like, yeah, I'll hit you up when the open mic is. All right, cool. And then he hit me up like, we decided to have an open mic on Friday, and you're on the lineup. It's like in 3 days, and then I barely slept for 3 days. Like, I was so nervous, like I couldn't handle it.
What was your mental preparation leading up to that point? Because I remember very clearly what I was doing for about 1 or 2 years before I got the guts to do my first open mic. But what was your process like from the moment you decided that you might end up doing stand-up to the moment that you did the first open mic?
Well, like my mental, like months before this, I got so close to signing up a bunch of times, but I always thought like no, because in my head, I had this fantasy of being a comedian for years. And I didn't want to kill that off with, like, if I go up on stage and it sucks and it's not for me, then all of the fantasies I've had in my head are just dead. And what do I do? So, which is like a wild thing to think about. But, so I kind of, before I sent the message and signed up, I kind of thought, like what am I just going to live in a fantasy world in my head, like until I figure
imagining you doing,
imagining me doing comedy. Like, that's not fun. So finally I got the courage. I got drunk and told a friend, because I didn't tell anybody. I got drunk and I told a friend of mine, and he said, "Sign up, dude." He was actually very encouraging and said a lot of nice things, and I got the courage while drunk to send the guy a message, and then after that it was just like now I have to do it. It's in the ethos or whatever you would say.
Yeah.
So I had 3 days to prepare. I had already been preparing. Like, I had one funny story that I was just gonna do. It was not even 5 minutes. I just want to go up on stage and tell this story, and that will be my first time. Mm-hmm. And I show up to Bar 11. It's in the basement. And the room there's no audience. There's a group of dudes, maybe 10 dudes from Dalvík, which is close to my hometown. Mm-hmm. And I didn't really I didn't know any of them, but there were a few faces that I'd seen around at a gas station or something. I was like, I don't like this. When I found out they're from Dalvík. And everybody on stage is bombing. because they're just sitting there with their arms crossed. And I found out after the show that there wasn't supposed to be an open mic, but this was like a stag party, stag do, whatever. And the guy called the guy who owns the open mic and was like, hey, we want to go see a comedy show. Can you throw a comedy show for us? So Rökkvi decided to have an open mic for them, where anybody could sign up. Greipur was hosting. Frikki was there. Frikki was a few months into comedy, and he saw my first set, and he still talks about it. Because my first set was so bad. It was horrible. Like, people thought I was an odd person.
Thought?
Yeah, I was drinking Kilk up on stage. I was like, this is the Faroese national drink.
You're stealing my thing. You're stealing my thing. You've been stealing my thing for that long?
Yeah, dude. That's why when you brought the Kilk, I was like, oh man, I'm going to bomb.
And
Kilk makes me bomb.
For all our international not for all, but for our international
just say Faroese. Just say, for my mom.
She could be anywhere.
She's in the Faroes. You just admitted.
She could be anywhere.
You just admitted that the international listeners.
Yeah. The names that you mentioned, Frikki and Greipur, those are local Icelandic comedians. Maybe, I would love to have them on. So if you're watching sometime in the future, you might be able to watch an episode with them. But
I mean, it doesn't matter where you're in the world. You've probably seen Greipur on TikTok.
Oh yeah, he's
huge on TikTok now.
TikTokers.
Huge. And if you haven't seen Frikki up on stage, I recommend go seeing him.
You have to.
He's a great comedian.
You have to.
And
Fredrik Valur.
He had I went up on stage. I remember very vividly. Greipur went up on stage to introduce me. He told a few jokes, and in the meanwhile, there's a little hallway next to the stage. And there's a door that just leads to the back. And I ran up to the door to run away. It was just a fight or flight kind of reflex, and I decided to flight.
Wait, were you already on the stage?
No, I was in the hallway. Greipur went up on stage to introduce me. He told a few jokes. And then I remember him saying, like, the next guy coming up on stage, he is doing this for the very first time. So be nice. And then I ran up to the door. I opened it. And then just gave him a round of applause. I heard the clapping, and I was like, shit.
Got cold feet.
Now I have to do it. And then I walked up on stage. And the weird thing that, like, when I walked up on stage, those worries I had did go away, but I was still doing it for the first time. And this was the first time ever I had been standing in front of people, holding a microphone. Like, I hadn't thought, I'd just been thinking about the things I was about to say, so I didn't think all about, like, how I'm going to perform or how it works. One thing I remember, like, somebody talked probably on Joe Rogan that you have to move the mic stand away. So that was a thing I did do, like, very consciously, like,
that's a pro
take
move.
the microphone out and move the mic stand here. And then I held the microphone next to my belly button. Because my brain just didn't go.
So clearly you weren't used to using microphones.
No. This was the first time. I don't remember even holding a microphone before that time. So I just held.
For everybody, when you're doing stand-up or when you're doing anything with a mic, the kind of mic you use when you stand up, you have to have it, like, close to your mouth or pointed directly at your mouth. Otherwise, nobody's going to hear anything.
Microphone mechanics that you kind of have to get used to.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that was. So I held it next to my belly button just because my brain shut off. Like, all right, just tell the story. So I'm not thinking about my hands, so I'm just holding it next to my belly button so nobody could hear. But I was also nervous, so the story wasn't coming out right. Then I was done.
You got to tell us the story.
The story?
Yeah.
It was in Icelandic, but I think it probably works in English too. So it was a true story. It is a true story. I'm just
used to be and it still is.
Yeah, it still is. Exactly. And I was in Bonus in Kópavogur, and I was walking out with 2 grocery bags full of groceries, you know. And I walk into the parking lot, and there were two Asian ladies in front of me wearing like very bright clothes, like they're tourists.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really thinking about them, I'm just walking out. And then we're both crossing the road, but I see I'm just looking down, and one of the ladies is about to cross the street, but I see a car lights and a car like coming very fast, and I just instinctively, to save her, I was gonna grab her, but I punched her in the back with my full grocery bag. So I punched her.
So you didn't realize that you had all this weight in your hand.
Exactly. And this is a problem I've had my whole life. So
you took a swing at her.
I swing the grocery bag. I knocked the wind out of her, like really. And then I grab her and I try to, I'm saving her. So I pull her close to my face. And then I look, and the car isn't even moving. The guy just turned on the lights. So it was a total fuck up. So I tell the lady in English, like, I'm sorry, I thought the car was gonna hit you. And then she responds in Icelandic, thank you. I speak Icelandic. So it was racist and abuse.
It was a hate crime.
It was a hate crime, abusive physical hate crime, and that is actually a bit that I used to do for a while, and it worked because people love.
It's a
racism.
funny story.
It is a funny.
People love racism, especially when it's unintentional.
Exactly. I'm just being an idiot. Like I was in my own head. I punched a lady and I did a racist thing.
I wonder if she's still telling that story. I was just at Bonus, and then this big ginger guy, he's a comedian now, throws his groceries into my back, tries to push me in front of a car, and then he says...
I'm not blaming her, but she was wearing tourist clothes. Like, I've never seen an Icelander wearing a bright...
I know what you mean. They look like they're about to climb Everest.
Yeah. Like, she was just in Bonus, dude.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
What are you expecting in there?
Yeah. If you're wearing...
How much time are you spending in the meat section? In the cold room? Like, you don't have to dress up for that.
Exactly. Get on with your life.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you're going to get hit in the back with a bag full of Cheetos and milk and Coke.
Coke.
Yeah.
Represent. Okay, so that was your first story.
That was my first story.
Tell me...
I bombed, and Frikki had, like... I love Frikki to this day for this, but like he was really kind to me after my set, and I was just happy. I knew I bombed, but I was just happy that I did do it.
Describe the reaction, or what kind of reaction were you noticing when you're performing that?
Just a lot of confused faces. And
were you getting it out clearly, or what?
No, I don't remember. I think I kind of fucked it up. Also, it doesn't matter because nobody could hear me. Like my microphone was next to my belly button.
Yeah.
And belly buttons don't tell jokes. I don't know if you know this. But so nobody could hear me after the show. The show kind of went on, and in the end of the show, the guy who was getting married in the group, he went up on stage. That was a part of the thing, which I didn't know about. But he went up on stage and he said some things about his friends, and then he just made fun of me, like how bad I was.
Oh.
But I was looking at it, and it didn't really bother me. I was like, because I knew he was right. Like, yeah, I did suck, but I know that I can do better. Like, I just finally got it out. Like, I did comedy for the first time. This was something I'd been building up to for years, and it's finally done. So now I'm good. I can work on stuff. Like I can be a comedian.
That's something that everybody who gets into stand-up kind of has to realize, I think, is that everybody sucks sometimes. Even if you're Louis C.K. or if you're Dave Chappelle, they bomb.
Yeah.
They bomb sometimes.
100%.
Nothing to be afraid of. It doesn't mean that you're not. It doesn't mean that you're not funny. It doesn't mean that you're not good. Or
no.
It's just.
Also, I think it helped me to have a horrible first time because there was no other place to go up from there, and I knew I was gonna continue doing it. But the funny thing is that when I moved to Reykjavik in 2016, I sent an email to Þorsteinn Guðmundsson, who was a comedian, very funny. And he used to have these comedy classes every once in a while. So I sent him an email. He replied like, yeah, when we have 10 people on a list, I'll contact you. I was like, coolio. And then I didn't hear from him. And I was like, it's not going to happen. Then I signed up for the mic. And then I think like 2 days later or something, like I got an email back from him. Like, I'm contacting the people that are blah, blah, blah. We're going to have a comedy class in a week. I was like, oh, sweet. So I did the comedy class. I did one open mic, and then I went to do a comedy class. I think it was like 2 weeks. We met up 3 times a week for a couple of hours. And he just went through all the basics, showed us like different styles of comedy. But every class, we would have to go up on stage and just say something. Like he would give us some, like just in the first class, it was just introduce yourself. And then maybe next class it was like introduce yourself and say something interesting about yourself. It's like something you've done or whatever. It doesn't have to be funny. It was just getting used to being on stage in front of people, which is a huge part of being a comedian, of course. But when you're not a comedian, you don't think about those kind of stuff. So I got used to being on stage, and also when we started writing jokes and I went up on stage in front of the class and did the jokes, I did, like people told me afterwards, like, yeah, that was very funny. And people were very complimentary to me. And even Þorsteinn Guðmundsson, which kind of gave me a confidence boost of like, I can maybe really do this. And then the last class was a show. We all had to invite like maybe 5 more people. It was a packed crowd, and it was in was then the green room, which later became the secret cellar. And it was a packed room. Everybody did great, but yeah, I don't think I've killed that hard since. It feels like in my memory, which is probably not true, but like that show was amazing, and I did so well that I felt like I was flying off stage when I was walking out. Like
That's the best feeling.
It was the best feeling. Like I couldn't imagine something being so fun again. And I got off stage, and Þorsteinn Guðmundsson was like, how do you feel? I was like, I never want to quit. That's what I told him. Like, I never want to quit doing this. And I think I'm keeping up to that. I don't want to quit doing this, but I know it's like the first time you do heroin, because I know you have a huge issue with heroin. I hope
sober.
That's good. But what they say about heroin is when you do it for the first time, after that you're always just chasing you're chasing the dragon. And I've never felt as good after a set since then, and I probably never will. But that's fine. The longer you do comedy, the highs kind of get a little bit lower and the lows get a little bit higher. So the frequency is more like just in the middle.
I think it probably also, as far as you can tell now, you like something might happen in your career that takes you to another level, and then you're going to be back at that floating on a cloud kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe. But the thing about floating on clouds, like you always come back down. So I kind of like the not going too high, not going too low, which is, I mean, it's not. If you have a tendency to focus more on the low, it's not good.
No, definitely not.
So enjoy the highs when they come in, and think about yourself in the lows.
Yeah,
like what can you do better? Because that's the best way to learn, is to fuck up and then sit around by your lonesome. Just think about like, what the fuck am I doing with my life?
And how was the comedy scene when you started? Like, do you remember there being any kind of scene in Reykjavik when you started?
Yeah.
What was it like?
There was the scene. I started right at the end of the Icelandic comedy scene.
What year are we talking about now?
2017. and the English comedy scene was booming. Like, it was on the up.
Yeah, like mega
tourist
tourism in
and
Iceland.
couldn't just popping every Monday night. Monday night was like the night for comedy. And then in 2018, I did I should probably talk, like, when I started, like, I was only gonna do it in Icelandic. Like, I just wanted to be an Icelandic comedian because I didn't think I could be funny in English. But then I just thought, like, oh, well, there's more mics now in English. I should learn how to do it just to get the stage time, to get more used to the stage. So I started doing comedy in English. It was a little bit of a learning curve, but I was pretty quick with getting an okay grip. And York Underwood kind of pulled me aside, and he said, like, you should, like, you're good, and you should just focus on. He pointed out 2 bits that I had. Is it just, like, focus on these 2 bits, and just do them for the next 2 months. Just these 2 bits. Don't think about new stuff. Just do those 2 bits. And I listened to that, which did help because it didn't. I made those 2 bits better, and also I got used to just standing on stage and doing comedy. It's not good to do the same material for years over and over again, and it's also not good to start out and then every time you go up on stage say something new. But to start out, I think it's good just to do the same. It depends on people, but it helped me out at least to just do the same, like 5, maybe 10 minutes.
I never liked. No. What I would say about that is that if you have new crowds, then it's much easier to do the same bit over and over.
Yeah.
But if it's a lot of the same people coming, which has been where I've been performing for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Then I feel like such a need to always have something new. Otherwise, people are just going to zone out. If you start a bit they've heard 10 times, then they're not really going to be listening.
It is. You kind of have to judge for yourself. I was talking about this the other day with Þórhallur. Like, I saw him. Frikki had these open mics at Fredriksson, Icelandic open mics, and usually it was just always the same people, same comedians, and usually the same crowd too that showed up to it. So I personally felt the need to try something new every time, or at least when I did something that I'd been working on, I would do it a little bit differently. But I saw Þórhallur go up on stage every week, just working on the same bit, and I did notice he was doing it better each time, and I just thought to myself, like, I don't want to do the same things because I want to get laughs now. But then he did, like, a real show, and he did that bit, and now he just had a great bit. And I just had this realization of, like, I should have. Now I just have, like, a bunch of unfinished bits, but he had one good finished bit, which is better. So it's kind of it depends on a lot of kind of situations what you want to do, but it is good to focus on one bit for a while and then go on to the next one. Even though, look, it's the same people in the crowd, if you just want to fine-tune it, you should do it. It shouldn't matter, especially at an open mic. If it's a paid show, then you should try to make people laugh. But an open mic, when there's it's not a full room, it shouldn't really matter if you make them laugh.
I crave the surprise for me. I want to surprise people. That's like what I crave the most.
I mean, comedy is surprise.
Yeah. My definition of comedy, like, I've read up on, like, scientific theories about comedy.
Yeah.
And I haven't found anything that I really found convincing. You know, if you read up on some theories of, let's say, AIDS, you read about it and you see what they think AIDS is, and then you see that they've based on this theory, they figured out some drugs to treat it, and people with AIDS can live their normal lives today, and all those kinds of things. It shows that they know the theory must be right. If they can figure that out, then it must be right. With comedy, there's so many different ones. Like if you read a book on how to write comedy, there's hundreds of different books on how to write comedy and stand-up. And they all say different stuff, and they all end up with you being somewhat better at writing comedy, but in different ways. So I think everybody is kind of close, but I don't think anybody has really captured the essence of what exactly comedy is.
No.
The closest I've gotten to explain what like my theory of what comedy is exactly is that it's a nice surprise.
Yeah, that's every joke. Every joke, a nice surprise. Like
that's what makes you laugh. Because if it's a bad surprise, then you're not going to laugh.
No. A comedian told me once that the peekaboo game you play with children, that's that's all jokes.
Mm-hmm. Like you disappear, and then suddenly you're back.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, the person they like is back.
This is every joke.
So it's a nice surprise.
A surprise. And also, comedy is subjective. So, the cure for AIDS is not. Like, there's no. If you have a medicine for AIDS, it's not like people can go like, yeah, it doesn't work for me.
There's something in me that tells me that the same can be done for comedy. There's something in it that tells me that someday somebody's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, AI is gonna take over,
and then everybody's gonna read it and be like, oh, and then they can be the funniest person in the world.
Yeah, I don't think that's possible. I think it's good to read up on comedy and do like research and like, I mean, if you're a comedy fan and you kind of do your own investigation of like what is funny, how can I be more funny? But it's speaking for me personally, I think I could overdo it. If I think about it too much, then I'm not really the comedy is not coming from me. It's just like I'm trying to write like somebody else.
Yeah.
So there has to be a good balance between the two of like trying to learn new stuff and also being yourself and doing your stuff as well as you can do it.
Do you think you found your character in comedy? There's a lot of talk about finding your own voice or finding who you are as a comedian. Do you think you've found something there? What would you say?
I'm very conscious of the fact that in 10 years I'm going to be different as a person and then by default a comedian. So I don't think about it a lot. I don't... I try my best not to intervene with my process of thinking like, oh, I don't want to do this kind of joke because that's not the kind of comedian I want to be. If I think it's funny and it's coming from me and my thoughts, then I'm going to do it. And I usually figure out an okay way to do it. But I don't think a lot about my persona on stage. I think the worst kind of thing you can do is to listen to other people of what you are. If people tell you you're this kind of comedian and you hear that constantly, then you kind of start playing into it. So it's good to listen to people and hear what they have to say, but don't act out what they're saying.
One thing I'd say about like giving advice and opinions generally, this applies to comedy too, is that don't give it to people who aren't asking for it. I try not to give people any opinions or input or feedback on what they're doing unless they're specifically asking me for it.
Yeah,
and I've known some comedians who are really good comedians, and they might they might get annoyed if other people don't want to listen to their advice. But one thing you could say about that is that if you could be a really good comedian, but that doesn't mean that you're going to be a good mentor or that you're going to be a good teacher necessarily.
Yeah.
And they might not want to be the kind of comedian that you are So
exactly.
And they might specifically want to figure it out for themselves. That's me. When I'm trying to learn something, I really want to figure it out by myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to be in the dark and feeling along the sides of the walls and figuring out the maze.
Yeah.
And then coming out on the other side and be like, wow, I did that.
Yeah. I usually don't. I don't think I've ever given advice to people, but I have. If I like a comedian, I'll and I hear a joke that and maybe a tagline or something that can be fixed about the joke pops to mind. Yeah. If I remember it after the set and I have we're talking, I will mention it. But that's just a friendly gesture of that's not me going this is how you should do comedy. This is more hey, this bit, if you said this instead of this, I think, and I usually present it as if you want this, it's there. Yeah. It's not take it. It's this is what I thought, but I thought it was great.
I appreciate that also. I really like that. I like it. I really like it when people have something nice to say, because it's so, there could be a lot of people there who really like what you're doing, but you might never figure out what it is they like about it.
Yeah.
So if people tell you something nice about what they liked about something, for one thing, it keeps you encouraged, and that's really something you need to keep going in comedy, because bombing feels really bad, and there's lots of things that are not so good about it. So you really need there to be some positive about it. And encouragement from other people is one of the biggest things, both from the laughter and the claps you might get or whatever, but also just people coming up to you and telling you something nice. And
that's always nice.
Man. And if people have something to add, like a tag or an extra word or some idea to improve something, I think that's also really nice. I don't think that's quite this. It's not exactly the same as critiquing or giving advice per se.
Yeah, it's not the same. No. But it's also usually when people do that, they're just presenting something to you. Here is something that you can use if you want to. Mm-hmm. But giving people advice on it is not. I feel like when I started doing comedy, I did that more. Which is a dumb move to do, but now I kind of, because I've seen myself change a lot, and giving people advice is not something. If they're not asking for it, they're not getting it, and if they ask for it, I usually have very little to say. It's just
you really don't give a fuck.
Not really, no. It's more just I don't want to. I could ruin you by giving you advice.
Don't listen to me.
Yeah, don't listen to me. I'm not you. Yeah. I do comedy differently. Yeah. But
it is such an individual thing.
My advice would just be go up on stage as many, that whole cliche. Just go up on stage every time you get a chance to and figure it out.
And it's only going to be a surprise if you are as much of an individual as possible. If you're going by everybody's advice and input, you're going to be this average of everything. Yeah. That's not interesting.
No. You should be yourself.
Find out what's weird about yourself and milk it.
Yes.
Call back.
Yeah. You milk it and put some Coke into it.
And after you got started in comedy and the ball started rolling and all that, and then the Secret Cellar was founded, and that was a comedy club here in Iceland that closed summer 2021, killed by COVID. Maybe the worst thing that happened from COVID.
Exactly. I blame the Chinese. That's why I punched the lady in the back.
There are some confessions in this podcast. The ball got rolling, and you're doing stand-up in the Secret Cellar, and at some point you end up with a contract with Stand-Up Records.
Yes.
Tell me about how that developed.
Dude, I'm hungry, and you really fucked me up with this. Because
this is more filling.
That's true, but like I said, I'm lactose.
Oh, okay.
I think I am. I'm not officially. Yeah, I know, but that's fine.
That's
That's one save. I'm not really like I eat cheese once in a while, but I went vegan for a month, and after that I drink 1 glass of milk, and my stomach does not agree with me.
That's why I should never go vegan.
Yeah, maybe I should just go full on vegan. I don't know.
Have you tried whale meat?
I have, and it's delicious.
So you've been vegan and you've tried whale meat.
Yeah.
I don't know how that goes together.
No, I mean, it
At
was
one
just,
point in your life, you're like, fuck everything. I'm going to eat a whale. And then later, you're like, I'm going to save everybody.
yeah, dude. I killed my own whale. Swam after
You
it.
should probably shot it.
Yeah. But no, I just wanted to try it out. It wasn't like we have to save the animals kind of thing. It was just like, hey, maybe I'll try this kind of diet. Mm-hmm. And it went well.
Yeah.
What was your question?
Well, now we're talking about vegans. And I want to say, I've been vegan for a week. Once,
yeah, not now.
No.
Just had Kilk.
It was fine. Yeah.
Yeah,
I couldn't be without my Kilk.
No, exactly. You're Faroese. I can't blame you. Kilk is very important.
Yeah, Kilk and whales.
Yeah. So stand-up records, yeah.
So how did you? What happened there? So you were doing. I started going to the Secret Cellar in 2018.
Yeah.
And I was going there regularly. And I saw you perform there. I saw lots of other guys who we mentioned here tonight. We mentioned here. And I remember seeing you going up stage, and you really seemed like a pro. Like there's a bunch of guys there who like seemed like pros, and the crowd was just loving it, and how did that? Can you tell me a bit about how that developed when you after starting the Secret Cellar? How did you like? Do you remember when you got asked to do your first Friday night or Saturday night show or something like that?
I was in the core group by that time. So when the Secret Cellar started and they started planning like shows, like
not open
like
mics.
the first 2 weeks of the Secret Cellar were kind of odd. Like we used to play games. They had a screen where the audience they came in, and you could buy a bracelet for 5,000 kroner, and you can drink free, or like you can, if you had a bracelet, you can just drink as much as you want. So it doesn't really bring the best audience members.
No, why were they doing that?
It was a good idea on paper, but then they quickly figured out all the worst kind of people showed up. So it did kind of, it didn't suck, but it was weird, and it was entertaining to see. Just
right, but you want the person on stage to be the entertaining one.
Yeah,
not the drunk fucks in the audience.
The guy peeing himself for the 5th time today.
Yeah.
But, so we used to have, like, impromptu comedy shows. It was just all over the place. Dancer and playing a guitar, and then they had a screen, and you can play, like a quiz game with people. There were, like, teams. And
is that like Tinder?
It's like your phone. It's like your phone, and you're playing.
You're, like, swiping left and right?
Yeah, you're Googling, like, Faroese killing whales. Oh, okay. And then you used to play games on the screen with people. I don't remember what the game was, what the name of the game was, but anywho, like the Secret Cellar started to become like a more of a legit comedy club because Bjarni, the magician,
The Magic Viking,
yeah, he started planning shows. He gave Gísli Jóhann the Friday night spot. Mm-hmm. Gísli Jóhann had like a showcase show. Aaron Surabi had Saturdays. Then Dan Saren had Thursdays, open mic on Wednesdays, and I had Tuesdays. And on Tuesdays I had because everybody had a showcase show with like 8 to 10 comedians, each doing 10. I wanted to do a show with less comedians doing more time. Mm-hmm. So it was called The Funniest Four. I was the host of it, and then I had 3 other comedians. Just to have more time. So I would open with 20 minutes and then bring up the next guy. Mm-hmm. And then there would be break, and then 2 other comedians doing 20 to 25 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so by that point you were doing easily 20 and more.
Yeah, I think, I had good 20 minutes. And that kind of gave me the chance to develop like a longer set. and work on bits more.
Yeah.
You do it more long formed. So I got in on the Secret Cellar pretty early, and then I, the Friday and Saturday night shows are not open mic.
No.
So they just wanted the best comedians, and there weren't a lot of comedians, if I think about it.
No, at that time, no, probably not, no.
No, so I was doing most of the Friday and Saturday night shows too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then there was an open mic on Wednesday, so I was doing comedy at least 4 nights a week. And what was the question?
And then at some point, you get connected to stand-up records.
Stand-up records, yes. There's a comedian called Corey Adam. He's from Minnesota. He came to visit Iceland before the cellar opened. He came and did the Monday show with us, with Gísli Jóhann. And everybody liked him. He liked everybody. He liked the vibe here. Mm-hmm. He gave us all a CD, his comedy album he did with stand-up records. And we're like, oh, shit, this guy's a legit comedian. And he's very funny. And then he went home, and then about a year later, he contacted somebody, and they put him in contact with the Secret Cellar, and he said that he wanted to shoot his next comedy album and special at the Secret Cellar. So he came by with a crew, and Dan Schissel, who's the CEO or owner of Stand-Up Records. Stand-Up Records is they're based in Minnesota, but they're like the biggest indie comedy producing company in America. Mm-hmm. They've done comedy albums with David Cross, Louis Black, Mark Maron, Maria Bamford, Patton Oswalt. Like everybody in the comedy community in America knows them.
Yeah, those are all famous comedians in the comedy scene.
Yeah, and they've done. There's a bunch of others I haven't mentioned. Hannibal Buress. Everybody. Like, they're a pretty big deal. So they came over here. We were really excited about it because Corey Adam was he did put on 2 shows. On Friday night, he shot like a comedian's special where he was the host. And he invited me, Gísli Jóhann, and a bunch of others to do a 10-minute set. And that would all be shot and then maybe produced later into something. They were maybe going to do something with it. And then Corey asked me to open for him. Like me and 2 others. I think Gísli Jóhann was there too. I don't remember. I was really drunk. I was really having a good time. So, I did 2 shows for them. 2 sets. Mm-hmm. And both of them went great. And Dan Schissel, he came up to me and he had very nice things to say. He complimented me, and we kind of went over, and he kind of in a nice way critiqued my set, and we went over it and kind of hit it off. And then they went back, and life just went on. And then
Did you feel like something big was happening there at that time?
More exciting than big. Like, I knew that this wasn't, like, I never thought that I would do a special, especially like 2 years later with them. Like, that thought didn't even pop into my head. I was like, even on the lineup of the comedian special thing they did with us, even on that lineup, I was like one of the most inexperienced of the bunch. But I did have a great set. And then 2 years later, because the Reykjavik Fringe started around, I think it started in 2017 or 18. And I remember every comedian on the scene that had been doing it, like, who started around the same time as me, or even after, they were doing the Fringe. They were, like, doing our shows. And I kind of thought it was crazy. So I didn't even think of applying because I just thought it's best to wait. Mm-hmm. Also, I think I was a little bit scared of it but it was a good idea to wait.
The Fringe is like a live performance festival.
Yeah, arts and dancing and comedy.
Yeah, and there's a really big one in Edinburgh. That's probably the most famous one, and then there have been smaller ones popping up all over the place. All over
the world. And so I didn't apply for it, and then in 2020, I applied and got in, and I did my show, Big Small Town Kid, and won 3 awards.
For what? Which kind of?
Well, I won the coolest poster, or Notice Me award. That was the first award I got. I was like, I got.
Who made the poster?
My friend Helena Gudrun. Like it was
really.
It wasn't and I didn't take it that way. I was just like, thank you. I'll
pass it on.
Yeah, I'll pass it on to her. But
funny that's the first one you mentioned, though.
Yeah, it's the first one because.
What awards did you win? Best poster.
Yeah, best poster
for your comedy show. Yeah.
It was the first award that I got. Like, I got that award.
That was the first award you got.
Yeah.
That's the perfect award to get as a comedian because it's a funny award.
Yeah. And as I was about to leave the stage, they were like, oh, hold on, we have another one for you. And that was Rising Star. Oh. So I was like, oh, that's a pretty good one. Mm-hmm. It's pretty dope.
Yeah.
And then the award ceremony was over, or so we thought. I went out smoking. And then Daði, the bartender, he came running downstairs. He was like, Arnór, get the fuck up there. You have another award. I was like, what the fuck?
Again?
Yeah, I ran upstairs and everybody's waiting and clapping. I went up on stage and a lady said some words that I didn't understand. Like she was talking about the reason for this award and what it means and whatever. But I was still kind of confused. And then she handed me a plaque of like the Grapevine Award. Like, thank you. And then I left. And Mauricio Villavesar was also a very funny comedian. He spotted right away that I didn't understand. He just yeah, we went to the smoking area and he was like, you don't know what the fuck
you were standing there basically like...
Yeah, I was like, thank you, that's very cool.
You know
that's
that
very nice of you.
Michael Scott from The Office where he's just like shaking his boss's hand?
Yeah, that's
you?
That was me. I was like, I know what I'm doing.
Getting your award.
So I went downstairs and Mauricio said right away, like, you don't know what the fuck just happened, do you? I was like, nope. I was like, hey, it's because... And then he explained it and I don't remember his explanation either. But the award basically meant that I got an article in the Reykjavik Grapevine. Mm-hmm. It was like a 2-paged article. It's like a pretty big deal. And then the article was online also. And then the award itself, because she told me that like we're making the award for you, like the trophy itself, we're making it, and it's gonna be ready in a few days. So she hit me up, and I used my lunch break at work to go pick it up here downtown, and it was just like beer can on like what do you call those trophy stones, like a big like.
Trophy stone?
Yeah, trophy stone. On a trophy stone. Just glued onto it. You can see the glue around the trophy stone. Uh-huh. And was it. Mm-hmm. And it just said, Grapevine Award. I was like, thanks.
So it's a Picasso?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just, it came, the trophy stone came off very easily. Because I was like, and I'd quit drinking at that point. So I was like, I just handed it to my lady and I was like, here, put it in the fridge. You can drink my
Was it
award.
A full can?
Yeah. It was like a beer can.
I thought at least they emptied it.
What, do you think they're cheap or something? Like, what the hell?
I don't know why they give you a trophy filled with beer.
It was a beer-filled trophy.
Yeah,
to a guy who doesn't drink. To a guy that doesn't drink.
But at least you got the trophy rock, or whatever you called it.
Yeah, at least my lady got to drink. So she put it in the fridge, and then the article came out. But the thing about winning all those awards is that it didn't really hit me. Like, I just felt odd about it. I don't know if I felt like I didn't deserve it, or...
I guess that wasn't the reason you were doing it. Like, you didn't go into it expecting or hoping to get awards, I guess.
No. And I see a lot of comedians now that they always build up to the fringe. Like the fringe is the thing. Like you want to do a fringe show. But that wasn't my reason. Like I never looked at the fringe that way.
No.
And I still don't. I don't know. It is good to have something to build up to. Even now I'm kind of using the fringe for next year to have a full hour. But that's more just to test my hour. Yeah. I want to do more stuff than the fringe with it. But I love the fringe, but the awards I didn't really know what it meant. So I got those awards, but the article was kind of the big thing because I shared it on Facebook. I was like, hey guys, look at me. And Dan Schissel saw it and he read it. And then he sent me a message. He was like, hey, I saw that you're critically acclaimed now. Can you send me a clip of the show? And I had an audio clip from the first show, which was my worst show. I was like, so I sent him that clip, kind of felt bad about it. So I sent him another clip from a 40-minute set I did prior to that went well. And he liked it. And then he sent me a message back like, hey, I want to sign you up and record the show and make a special with you, which was insane. But I should note that, sorry, it's all the Kilk. I should note that at that time,
can I have some Coke? Spilled some milk on the table.
I'm impressed how much you're committing to that bit.
It's not a bit.
It's not?
No.
I believe you.
I like this.
So fucked up, dude. Do you see a psychologist?
Yeah, when I look in the mirror.
Oh, it's pretty good. It's unhealthy, but it's pretty good. I hear
our sponsors, Milk and Coke.
I know for a fact that Jungian psychologists have to have an analyst. You don't have to have like a guy that makes sure that you're sane?
Psychologists, they go to a psychologist regularly. Sometimes every week, sometimes every 2 weeks.
Okay. And you do too?
Yeah.
Yeah. You talk about the Kilk?
I haven't. It didn't even occur to me it would be something to talk about.
I'm just moving this for the camera.
Yeah.
People have to see everything.
Cheers.
Cheers, buddy.
You were saying about you sent him those.
I sent him the clips, and I should note that at that time, the summer of 2020, everything because of COVID was closed, but in Iceland, everything was good for that summer. There was no COVID in Iceland the summer of 2020.
No. So in Iceland, it was like March, everything closed down for 2 months, and then everything was back.
Yeah, the summer was pretty much normal in a way. But not in the States. So he didn't have, he had no other, this is just I think, I haven't talked to him about this, but I think the thing that happened was that all the things he had planned kind of fell through. He saw that Iceland was doing okay, and he listened to my clip. It was funny. I was like, I'll just give this kid a shot, which I'm very grateful for. But we had to move the date. Like the plan was to kind of just go right into it and shoot it, but then everything closed again, and then
that was
it was just a year of anxiety for me.
When? End of August 2020?
Yeah. So we were going to go into planning it, and then during the fall or winter, everything kind of closed again, and then everything was looking good, and then everything closed again. Like it was just up and down, up and down. And shooting your first special is like anxiety-ridden enough. You freak out about everything. But that kind of planning, it didn't sit well with me. It was just a year of stressing out about it. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's not going to happen. Maybe he's going to change his mind. Who knows? Like, oh, man, this is a shot that I should have shot it just right away. I don't know. But
so close.
So close. But then we found a date a year later. I think we shot it in June or July. We shot 2 nights at the Secret Cellar. They both went good. I remember the first show I did. I was really nervous about it, and I felt like I went through all of the bits very well. But the second show went better because I was more loose. But then looking back on it, like, I thought we were just going to use the second show. But then as we were editing it, we kind of noticed I got more laughs on the first show. I think it's good because I felt more tense during the first show. But on tape, it doesn't seem that way.
Yeah.
So... yeah, we edited those 2 shows together, and it came out fine. You've not seen it yet?
I've listened to it on Spotify.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, thank you. I wasn't expecting that. Seriously.
Not all of it, if I'm honest.
Okay. Well, that's... all right.
A very small part of it.
How? 1 bit? It's in bits. Half of it. The second half is better. Just to point that out. If you power through. Did you like it, at least?
I love you. You're my first guest. Like, I fucking love you, man. Yeah, that's my confession for this episode.
Yeah, I love you too, buddy. And your Kilk. Despite your Kilk.
And then you recorded it, and then it was all kind of in the air for a while.
We recorded it during the summertime, and then... we had...
I'm going to hide the glasses because we're not supposed to...
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to... First of all, they're not going to listen or watch. And second of all...
in case...
Yeah. I mean, you've seen the people that work here, they don't listen to podcasts. You know what I mean?
No, probably not.
So, and also, I've done a bunch of podcasts in here, and I've usually had some to drink.
Okay, I'm just being paranoid about it.
Yeah.
I don't want to have my whole podcast ruined by some Kilk.
But also, if they peep into the windows and they say they see Coke and milk, they're not gonna.
They're gonna want some.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was about to say.
Louise.
Wow, man, that would be crazy. That would be a fun podcast.
But so the thing was up in the air. You recorded it, and what happens after recording something like that?
So, we got to the original plan was to shoot it here and then just send the material to the States, and he would have it edited and stuff. But my friend that I worked with on this, Logi, he's a filmmaker. We're together in film school, and I think he kind of saw the price tag on it, because I got a few of my friends from film school to help me out with the production of it, and they were doing it for cheap, like dirt cheap. And after we sent out the like how much the shooting of it would cost here, we sent it out, and the dollar is stronger than the Icelandic krona. Like, he saw that it was a very cheap special for him, both because I was getting it for cheap, and also
the conversion rates.
Yes, the rates. So after we sent him like how much it would cost to shoot it, he kind of asked, like, "Do you know anybody who could edit it?" Like, huh. And I pointed out my friend Logi. He was into it, so I got to be in the process of editing it, which was helpful and stressful at the same time. Because every time I would go visit Logi, we would watch clips or the whole thing. The first time I would see it, I would think, like, that's horrible. Second time I would see it, it would be way better than I remembered. And then it just went back and forth, because in my head for the whole week, I would just, like, build up, like, it was pretty good. And then, like, oh, so bad.
You actually watched it, it's not what you remember? Or?
Yeah, I think I just watched it, and I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, it's kind of bad. And then the whole week, it would just build up to the worst special in the world. And then I would watch it again, and it's actually pretty good. I was like, yeah,
so you're back and forth.
Back and forth. Whipping my hair. And then it came out on the 4th of December. No jokes. No joke,
Good
too.
reference.
Yeah, thank
Willow
you.
Smith for everybody.
What? I don't even know what
Willow
that
Smith.
means. So it came out on December 4th, 2021. Which I thought would be a good time. I don't know why. I just wanted it out.
Mm-hmm.
It came out. It took a few months to get it on Sjónvarp Símans, which is, if you're not Icelandic, it's our like video on demand. It's like our Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like another stamp of approval, because getting a legit comedy special is a huge stamp of approval as a comedian.
Yeah.
But nobody in Iceland gives a fuck. Like, they don't know what that means.
No, until they see you somewhere on Netflix or something then.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, if I go around telling people like I'm a comedian, I'm like a real comedian, I have a comedy special. It's with stand-up records. They're not gonna know. And even
records?
Yeah.
What the hell's a record?
What the hell is this? The 1950s?
I need a record player?
Yeah, we're traveling on steamboats to America to listen to the radio. Call back. So I like, people didn't really get it, I think, which is fine. But as soon as it went, I knew like it would be different if it was on the video on demand here in Iceland. But that took a while. But it's been on there now for a month.
Do you get any updates from them? Like, do they tell you, oh, you have 10,000 views this week or something?
Yeah, I wish it was 10,000 views.
Did they update you about it?
Yeah. I mean, every quarter I get an update. But I kind of told them just to leave it alone until the New Year's. I want to see the whole year.
Yeah.
I messaged him the other day asking if he had gotten any numbers from the Icelandic VOD, which he hadn't gotten in yet. I think just it all comes in at the end of the year, maybe. I don't know. I don't know how it works. I don't want to think about it too much.
No.
Yeah, so I don't know if it's going well, but also what he told me before the special came out was that the numbers aren't going to be great like right away, because this is the first big thing I've done. If I was like in a huge movie or something and then I did a special and people would know me, then the special would do good. But this is the first big thing you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's the numbers on this, on Big Small Town Kid, available everywhere, we said before. The numbers on it this is something that is gonna be there for the rest of my life, I believe.
It's gonna be there. For the rest of people are gonna be watching it maybe 5 years, 10 years, and
yeah. I mean, if you go on like the top selling comedy albums on iTunes or whatever, there's a bunch of like Brian Regan, Man on the Moon from 1999, pops up every once in a while. Yeah. It's like every time a comedian does something, the sales of the albums go up.
Yeah.
So I have to do something else, I guess.
You thought you were done, right?
Yeah, I thought like, I can't just be a comedian.
You thought you made it.
Yeah.
Finally, I get my special.
Like,
what?
No,
I have to do something else to promote my special?
Yeah, what the hell is this? I got gypped. So, yeah, I'm just kind of... I'm not waiting around.
Maybe this is what you needed.
Yeah.
The Kilk.
The Kilk. I needed the power of the Kilk.
Yeah.
Kilk.
And since you were talking about the Fringe before, I had an idea, and I was thinking, because I know that we're not done talking. The podcast for today is almost done, but we're not done talking.
Okay.
I would love to get to know you even better.
All right.
And so eventually I'm going to ask you to come back on again.
All right.
And because I want to do the Fringe next year.
Yeah.
And I thought we could sit down maybe at some point and talk a little bit about that, what your experience with that was, and if you have some advice or something like that. One idea I had.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, this is about to be the end of the podcast, and what'd you think?
The intros and the outros are always like I've done a bunch of podcasts. It's always the worst.
You gotta
I never
just
know
end
what to
the
do.
conversation. Like,
Yeah, I wish I could give you advice on it,
yeah.
but there's no.
But I don't want advice, as you know.
No, exactly. I'm not going
Yeah.
to.
No, don't give it to me.
No.
I'm kidding. Can you give me some? Can you give me some advice about podcasting?
Yeah, you raise this one and then you press this one.
Use those. That's not what I want.
No, but this is what you're getting.
Every
dude.
time you're going out on a tangent, I'll just press.
Yeah. To be fair, I pressed the wrong button, but it was perfect.
I'm not going to use that because there's no jokes.
Yeah.
I might use that one because that's a bit creepy.
Yeah.
Should we do like there's Halloween coming up. We should do like a Halloween podcast where we might murder some whales.
Yeah. So I walk in there, and they're out of Kilk. And then the Kilk appears magically. Mom, you brought Kilk!
That's a good note to end this podcast on. Thank you so much for being my first guest. It was really, really
Thanks
fun.
for having me. It was fun. Weird and fun.
Weird?
Yeah, I mean, the Kilk, kind of weird, man.
Just my normal life.
Yeah, I know, but this is a compliment. Weird is good.
Thank you all for listening, and special thanks to our international listener. Love you, Mom.